Herson, and I'm glad you can join me because we are going to explore the magical world of Shari Lewis, a world in which you are only limited by your imagination. Shari Lewis is not limited by anything. In addition to being one of the best known and most loved puppeteers, she is an actress, singer, dancer, magician, ventriloquist, magician, and author. And believe it or not, conductor of over 100 symphony orchestras. In the 60s, Shari Lewis and her constant companion, Lamb Chop...
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
I was waiting. I thought you'd never get to me.
Oh, well, we can't leave out Lamb Chop because Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop had charmed audiences in the 60s with their award-winning television show. In the 90s, you are both out there still charming them.
Thank you.
At places like the White House with television specials, award-winning record albums, children's stories, and videos.
That's true.
We'll meet Shari Lewis
and
Lamb Chop right after these messages, so please don't go away.
Oh, I'm going to hang around.
After dating the guy forever, you think I could tell him anything. Why is this so hard? I'm really scared.
It takes a lot of guts to tell someone he's too drunk to drive. But you can do it. Just say it. Because if you don't, there may be nothing left to say.
Kevin, I'm gonna drive.
Take the keys, call a cab, take a stand. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Little baby, don't say a word.
Last year, thousands of innocent children were caught in the crossfire of violent crime. And it's not just the children who suffer. How much longer will you let this go on? Call this number now. We'll send you information on how you can protect your children from crime and drugs in your neighborhood. Together, we will take a bite out of crime.
This is you and this is me.
Last year, thousands of innocent children were caught in the crossfire of violent crime. How much longer will you let this go on? Call this number now. We'll send you information on how you can protect your children from crime in your neighborhood. Together, we will take a bite out of crime.
This is just one of the many parts you can play as a young Red Cross volunteer. Volunteer and play your part.
I'm Arlene Herson. My guest is Shari Lewis. We're here at the Symphony Cafe in New York City. Thank you for joining us here.
My pleasure.
I know how much you travel.
Yes. This is my favorite place to come to because I always say I'm coming home when I come to New York.
Yes, actually, you were born in New York. You live in California now,
I live in Beverly Hills, and I still say I'm going home next week, darling, and my husband looks at me.
Okay, because New York is really your hometown, and I know once you've come from New York, I was born in New York also. It's a place that you feel is home all the time.
Oh, I'll never forget the day we left. In fact, when I walked that TWA terminal, that red carpeted tunnel you walk through at Kennedy, my heart still stops. I still remember my heartache as I left.
Oh, okay, so why did you leave?
Well, I did the right thing. The entertainment industry en masse moved to Los Angeles. I know New Yorkers don't like to admit that, but of course it's true. And in L.A. there is so much business, and there is so much activity, and my community is out there.
Your community is the world. Your community is the world wherever children are. And actually, you are an inspiration to children. Not only I feel I've spent the entire week with you in talking and reading about Shari Lewis, but you're an inspiration, not only to children, but to their families. Now, your family, I believe, inspired you when you were a child.
Oh, I came from a wonderful family. We were talking a moment before about the wonderful show you did with Suzanne Summers and how she revealed her personal anguish from her childhood. My public relations gentleman, Dick Gersh, has had a terrible problem because people constantly come to him and say, we want to do a major story on Shari, but she must reveal some of the anguish of her life. It would have to be invention. I had a wonderful father. Not only didn't he abuse me, but he brought me up to be a princess. Not only in the eyes of the world, but I feel I can do anything because Daddy knew I could do anything. I had a wonderful mother who lives with me now and with my husband. I got a great husband. He's a doll. My daughter is a loving daughter. I mean, being in show business is difficult, but it's never been an anguish. So I really have a problem in revealing anguish because I would have to make much out of little, you know?
Okay, well, let's talk about the good stuff. You know,
What a relief! You won't win a nomination for an ace with this interview, and I apologize for that.
Well, I already have my nomination for the
I
ace.
know
But
that, isn't that
anyway,
nice?
we are.
Mazel tov, it's
Thank you,
wonderful.
thank you very much. But anyway, we are going to have some fun because Shari Lewis is not anguish, is fun, is good things. But you started really young. You talk about your father. He was the official magician of New York. Magic was his hobby.
Yes.
You were doing magic, if I believe, at 2 years old?
Yeah, we have pictures, and I am 5 feet tall now. Well, I was the smallest thing. And my mother said to me the other day, my mother is 81, and she said to me, now I'll tell you. For years I was afraid you were a midget. And I said, Mother, I was only little. She said, you were very little. So, yeah, I was very little when I started, and I started pulling rabbits out of hats because Daddy trained me. And we lived next door to a dancing school. And so I took dancing lessons every afternoon from the time I was 2-3 years old. It was Mrs. Jones' dancing school in Staten Island. She had been a Rockette, and she was a good teacher. And I didn't do anything but roller skate and dance for years and years.
Well, you know, also because your mother motivated you, your father motivated you, they believed you could do anything.
Yeah.
At 2 years old, I believe you had your first press clipping in the New York Times.
Oh, yeah, it's a funny picture, isn't it? I'm pulling a rabbit out of a hat, and the rabbit's only a little bigger than I am.
Okay, but you know, it's funny when you talk about you have had an extraordinary childhood. Now, there are a lot of people, a lot of children that maybe couldn't have come up to snuff. That may have been anguish, may have been difficult. You just enhanced upon it. Now, most 11-year-olds don't go around throwing their voice. Okay, that's kind of how ventriloquism started for you, is it not?
Yeah, but you know, it happened because we always had magicians. There was a point where Princess Anne, during a command performance, came running up to me backstage and she said, how do you come to do what you do? It's so unusual for a girl. And I said, well, my father was the official magician for the city of New York, and we always had magicians and puppeteers and jugglers and ventriloquists around the house. And the princess took one beat and she said, yes. She said, one does tend to get involved in one's family's business, doesn't one? And that, of course, was it.
Okay,
You know?
that was it. Dad was a magician. Dad, you know, lived in a world that was, I think, bigger, happier than most
Daddy
people.
was adorable. Oh, he was so adorable. I can't believe my daddy died because it doesn't seem possible that he couldn't be here. He was full of so much energy.
Okay, now he was an inspiration in many ways, but you are an inspiration. Now, when I get back to your throwing your voice,
Yes.
first time, I think, did you surprise him when suddenly he came into a room?
Oh, he loved it, yes.
Tell us what happened.
Well, my sister and I never got along terribly well. I mean, I had been an only child, and then I was 9 when this other person came along. And one day he walked into a room and he heard my sister screaming to be let out of a closet. And I probably had done that before. And so he went and opened the closet, and she wasn't in the closet. I had thrown my voice. Well, he thought it was wonderful. I thought it was nothing. I was a ballet dancer. So we really struggled, Daddy and I, for many years, where he would force me to entertain. Oh, good, I've got anguish for you. Anguish. My father forced me to perform at parties. See, that's as good as it gets. And I used to perform at parties under great duress. I never perform at parties now. Never, ever, ever. I love to go to theatrical parties where people perform, and it happens a lot. But because of my years of being forced to perform at parties by Daddy,
Wow. Okay. Well, it went in a different way, and actually, Lamb Chop came into your life, and your life changed so much. Now you perform only when you want to perform all over the world. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Good.
We're speaking with Shari Lewis. We'll be right back after these messages. We're at the Symphony Cafe in New York City.
My hero? Isaiah Thomas. Kevin Costner. Mr. Wong.
These are teachers, but to the kids they've reached, they're heroes.
My hero? Mrs. Wooten. If I don't get through to that child, who knows, maybe no one else will.
Teachers have the power to wake up young minds, to be heroes, to make a difference. Reach for that power. Teach. Find out how by calling 1-800-45-TEACH. Be a teacher. Be a hero.
Mrs. Washburn, I'm Gerald Fry's mother.
Oh, don't you work nights?
I traded shifts. Mrs. Washburn, about Gerald. I wish I could help him learn better, but I'm no genius.
Well, you don't have to do the homework, but ask to see it. Let him show off what he learned. Praise him more. Show you care.
You think we got a chance here?
A good chance. Show me a parent who really cares, and I'll show you a kid who can learn.
Used in the world in the last 40 years, none had more power than this one.
You made it!
Hey, I couldn't have gotten through physics without you.
Yeah, well, you're on your own at college.
It's not fair.
That's all right. I'm gonna get a job, you know. I'm start working, I'm save. And I'll be in college in another year or two.
So, what do you have planned, Mike?
I think I'm gonna go home and make a sandwich. Okay.
Support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Hello there. This is the Lamb Chop Show. And my guest today is Arlene Herson rhymes with person.
Wait a minute,
Does it rhyme
Lamb
with
Chop?
person?
It's Herson, it rhymes with person, but
Herson.
wait a minute. You're my guest, Lamb Chop. This is the Arlene Herson Show.
Yeah, but don't get pushy. I like to do interviews too, you know. I like to ask people, and when did you start in show business, Miss Herson?
Well, you know, I'm the one used to answering the questions.
Yes,
there,
but
Lamb
don't you
Chop.
have a good answer for that?
Well, I have a good Lamb Chop. Actually, I've been in television a long time.
Really?
But not as long as you have.
No, nobody's been as long
You-
as I have.
Okay.
Nobody. Nobody.
How long have you been in television, Lamb Chop?
This year I celebrated 30 years in show business, and I'm only 5. You go figure.
I was going to say, Lamb Chop, you don't look 30.
No, it's amazing.
As a matter of fact, we've been
Yes.
talking to Shari before you came on.
Yes.
Shari doesn't look 30 either.
Oh, well, I'll tell her you said that.
Do you know how old Shari is?
I think she has that information in a drawer at home. And I'll send it to you when they get home if she'll let me, but I hope you won't hold your breath.
I won't hold my breath.
Don't hold your breath.
As a matter of fact, because Shari, actually, I've been spending a lot of good time with Shari. I want to know, how do you feel about Shari?
She's nice.
Yeah, you two get along?
Oh, yeah, I always feel sheepish saying it, but I really like her.
You do?
Yeah,
What's the best part of working with Shari?
She leaves me alone.
All alone?
No, I mean she lets me say whatever I want to say.
Well, if you could say anything you want to say here, what would you say?
This is the Lamb Chop Show, and my guest today is Arlene Herson rhymes with
Wait
person.
a minute. No. It's the Arlene Herson Show. And as a matter of fact, Lamb Chop has been on for a long time. Do you know we have a clip of you, Lamb Chop?
You clipped me? What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I actually, what I mean is that I have a video of Lamb Chop and Shari Lewis today and also from 1959.
Oh, you're putting me on.
Yeah, what you look like then and what you look like
I
now.
can't wait.
How about if we watch the clip together?
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, I'm looking.
Okay, here we go.
So here is a scene from one of Lamb Chop's first television network series called The Shari Lewis Show.
I thought that you said it was my series.
Trust me. Take a look.
Oh, my, this one was for Lamb Chop. I must have opened it by mistake.
Me?
Yeah.
Ha! Would you read it to me?
Sure, who do you think it's from?
I think that it's from Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley.
Uh-huh.
Why should he write to you?
Why shouldn't he? I write to him.
Oh, that's logical.
Well, that was interesting to see Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop then and now.
Hello.
Shari, you're back.
Back again? Does my nose look powdered?
Actually, Lamb Chop still has me laughing. I kind of wonder how the two of you get along.
How we get along? Why, we're very attached to one another. We get along fine.
Oh, you know, Lamb Chop has a personality all of her own. And it's interesting. You've been called her mom. You've been called her constant companion. She's been called your constant companion. How do you see the relationship between the two of you?
I'm her shepherd. And I really think that that's as appropriate as anything else. I am the responsible adult, and she gets the best of me. But I don't think about it a lot. I just let it happen.
You know, it seems it happens. I mean, it just kind of goes. I wonder, we saw a clip between the 1959 show and the show, you know, and how the two of you look in the 90s.
Yeah.
How have you two changed?
Oh, I don't think we've changed. I mean, I don't know. I don't analyze it. There's the story about the man who has a long beard, and somebody asks him one day, do you sleep with your beard under the blankets or over the blankets? And from that day on, the man never slept a bit because he was constantly watching where he slept, where his beard was. That's the way it is with Lamb Chop. I don't analyze. Everything's fine so far. Let it be.
Okay.
And so I let it be.
Okay, and it bees, and it's good. It's
Thank you.
terrific.
It bees.
It bees. It bees. It's a wonderful way to speak. As a matter of fact, I should read one of your books that tells us how to do things, and maybe one of them will tell me how to speak properly.
I doubt it.
Okay. Actually, but you and Lamb Chop have done a lot together. In addition to Lamb Chop, there's also Hush Puppy, Charlie Horse.
We have lots and lots of characters with whom we work.
Okay, but they're all different.
Yeah.
You know, Baby is a new character. Sure. They're all different. They have different voices, different personalities. Mm-hmm. Yet, let's face it, Shari, they're all you.
Yes, but you know, the shock for me was when I created Captain Person, the kangaroo, because he is a geriatric pain in the neck. He is an old, cranky violinist. And I didn't realize that I had a cranky old man operative within me. And when he started ad-libbing, after a while, I was thrilled because it really shows we all are Sibyls. We all are Sibyls with multiple characters. I'm just lucky enough that I have an outlet for each different character. I mean, Hush Puppy is really dumb, and he knows he's dumb, and he's insecure. And it's nice for me to have that facet to play with.
You know, you said something before. You said when Captain Person started ad-libbing, you know, do you really believe that your puppets have a mind of their own?
Oh, absolutely. The beauty of the fun of it is when the puppet takes over. And if the puppet doesn't take over, then it's stiff and it's not good. And it's not good puppetry, and it's not good comedy, and it's not good anything. I'm not saying that you don't work with a script. I know where my comedy lies, and I go back to my script. But when I work anywhere, I always let Lamb Chop ramble if she wants to ramble. The only time you don't do that if somebody says you have 2 minutes.
Yeah. Interesting. You have a whole new act. We shouldn't say new. Different, because most of what you do is geared towards children. Yet you perform in Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah.
And you perform in Las Vegas. So
I don't do a lot of kids' work. What I do is family entertainment. For the symphonies, it's all family. I don't do any kinder concerts. I believe that the symphonies offer a tremendous amount for families to share, an amount of enrichment that the parents can then play on, so that I won't do just the kiddie concerts where people drop off the kids, dump them, and you are the babysitter. I love the mixed audience. You perform for a family, and what happens is the kids hear the adults laughing at something they didn't catch, and they think up. They say, hey, I missed something, and they don't act so silly. And the adults hear the kids
chortling about something, and they relax and become more childlike.
Okay, what you're talking about is your conducting, actually, and as you've been talking about it, we have just seen some clips of Shari Lewis conducting symphony orchestra. That is astounding that suddenly this, you mentioned 5-foot little tiny person is suddenly conducting these huge orchestras. How did that happen?
I was brought up to it in the first place. Mother was one of the music coordinators for the New York City Board of Education. And I went to music and art high school, and I played many instruments. I really didn't play any terribly well, except for the violin, which I loved. Because you have to practice an instrument 3-4 hours a day to do it very well. And if you're playing a couple of instruments and giving each an hour, you're not going to accomplish much with that instrument. I always loved orchestration and conducting. In 1977, the Dallas Symphony asked me to perform with them. And I asked Stormy Sachs, who is a wonderful conductor and a wonderful teacher, to work with me for a couple of months. And then I laid down my music with the Dallas Symphony, did a good rehearsal, and they let me conduct. And it all came out of that.
Okay, all came out of that. You make it seem so simple. You've conducted over 100 symphony orchestras. You've done so much. We're going to take a break. We'll talk about what else you're up to.
Thank you.
We're speaking with Shari Lewis, and we'll be right back after these messages.
What are you doing this weekend that's so important you can't take a little time to test your home for radon? After all, it is the second leading cause of lung cancer, and a radon test kit is inexpensive. You could pick one up on your way to get a few things for the yard.
Without the men and women of the National Guard and Reserve, 44% of our nation's defense just wouldn't be there. So be a hero. Give your employees the freedom to protect ours.
There is a mighty spirit shining out.
In Salisbury, Maryland, the hungry are being fed. In Wind Falls, Indiana, a man who learned to read at 47 is making sure others learn earlier. In Hope, New Mexico, people turned an abandoned school into a thriving community center. In Boston, Massachusetts, neighbors set up a crime hotline that's making their streets safer. From Seattle to Galveston, from Buffalo to Fargo, every day, someone in America is doing something to light up another life. But there is so much more to do. The light to do it is within us all. We only need to share it. Contact the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
I'm Arlene Herson. We're at the Symphony Cafe on West 56th Street in New York City, having a chat and relaxing with Shari Lewis. You know, relaxing. I don't know when you relax, because there's so much that you do. But, you know, you really started as a dancer. Do you ever miss that?
Well, I don't miss it because I do it. I dance with 5'4" showgirl puppets. I love to do that. I mean, every time I do it, I think how lucky I am to have a chance to do something as silly as that. And I dance with a 5'8" puppet of Fred Astaire. I do the whole story of Carmen in 5 minutes and 40 seconds with all the major melodies, with 3 very funny puppets. I do a lot of dancing.
You know, you seem to work all the time. But you've been lucky, because you say you've had a lot of support. You're married to a man who's a book publisher.
Yes.
I heard Jeremy Torture, am I saying that correct?
Yeah.
Now, I heard that from way back, when you were on your honeymoon,
yes,
that Jeremy locked you in the hotel room
yes,
alone.
Yes.
And you had a deadline, and he said at 4 o'clock you write that book.
Yes.
Now, I've heard of being locked in your hotel room on a honeymoon, but not to write.
The real aggravating thing is that he didn't even publish the book. It was for somebody else. He doesn't publish my books. His sister is Judith Krantz. He doesn't publish her books. He publishes only his books. But he said it was a crime that I hadn't written a book. And so he got me to do it, and it's become a habit.
Okay, you've written 46 books. As a matter of fact, I happen to have the latest, hot off the press.
This is today. I mean, literally today I got the copy of it. It's 101 magic tricks for kids to do, and I wrote it with Dick Zimmerman of the Magic Castle.
So much of what you do are things to do, to encourage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not just, you just don't watch the Shari Lewis show.
Oh, well, I think it's criminal that kids now sit and watch 4 to 7 hours of TV a day. Criminal. I mean, what did you do? What did I do? We roller skated. We jumped rope. We played with clay. We made we sewed dolls' clothes. The kids aren't doing that stuff. And it's not that they're not doing that stuff. Nobody has to know how to roller skate. I mean, that's not an essential. But what you learn from all of those activities is that you can start not knowing anything. And you can try and fail, and if you don't judge yourself and you try again and again, you will succeed. That's the message. I mean, these kids get out there with that basketball, and they don't make the first basket, and they don't make the fifth, and they do it again and again. And what they learn from that is that anything is achievable if you stick to it. But these kids are not sticking to anything but the TV set. So what I try to do is generate doership rather than viewership.
Lessons from Shari Lewis. You're doing so much. What next? What's happening?
Well, we have a sitcom that my husband and I have created. It's been optioned, and we'll see what happens. I should do a nighttime sitcom. My kids of the 60s are now 25 to 40, and they're great fans. It's very exciting. Oh, is it nice for me. When I do a symphony show, I sell 6 tickets to a family, because the grandparents are alive and well, thank goodness. The parents are my kids from the 60s, and they've got 2 kids. So my demographics are wonderful.
Okay.
And I'd love to do a sitcom.
And here you are in the 90s, and there's nothing I believe that Shari Lewis can't do, and I'm glad that one of the things you did do was be a guest on my show.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much.
I enjoyed it so much.
Me too.
Thank you.
I hope that you have enjoyed getting to know Shari Lewis and also meeting Lamb Chop, and that you'll join us again next week. Meantime, good night. Hope to see you then.
Thank you.